Hey guys, how are you doing today? I am doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. Are you tired of your riff sounding generic like this? And don't you really want them to just sound more like this? Well, thankfully, I'm going to teach you how to make your chugs sound like actual laser beams. Shout out to Villanova, by the way, for this tip. Not many people ever really share the sauce of the things they do, but they were gracious enough to kind of share how this was done. I am pre-recording videos right now, so yeah. Before we start, if you want to join my Discord server, the link is in the description. That's like the only plug I have today, so let's just get right into it. So how do we transform the chug? So this is a basic pre-EQ. This isn't, you don't have to worry about that. That's just a frequency that was kind of sticking out for my guitar in particular. I am compressing the DI quite a bit, but that's not really necessary. The only reason I'm doing that is just basically I was too lazy to adjust the noise gate. So if you're finding that the next step is kind of just killing your signal, just automate the noise gate. It's just so much easier. But if you want to compress and be lazy like me, just compress it, make everything at a louder level, and then everything will just fall into place. It'll make sense in a second. And I have a crazy multi-band compression here. The sweet spot on where you have to kind of split the signal in between the low and high end is really touchy, and it's very hard to get a good grasp on how to explain it. But basically what I was looking for is I exclusively wanted this sound. You can really hear there when I solo it how the low end is ducked and then it slowly rises back with each hit. And that's pretty important to this sound because it's going to push the high end of the chug and the pick attack in general first before letting the rest of the low end through. And so to get that, I just really did the most random things possible. I just lowered the range quite a bit by 30 dB, like literally the max. The threshold is going to vary, but I'll show you how I dialed that in a second. Attack is the fastest because I don't want any of the low end at the start of the chug. And the release, it looks like I also had on the fastest. I guess that's just what worked for the tempo. But say if I wanted the low end to be cut out a little bit longer, then you can raise the release and it'll take a lot longer for it to kind of push back in the low end. So how I went about dialing the threshold is, again, I was just strictly listening to the low end and I was looking for that pumping effect. So I'll just get rid of it and add it back. Just like that. That's really annoying. And you can also see there that it's taking out a lot of volume from the DI. And that's why I also wanted to compress it. It might be a little bit better to compress after this. I just haven't experimented with it too much yet, so do keep that in mind. Moving on to the high end, I am on the expand option rather than the compress option because I really wanted the pick attack to really slam. And so again, the fastest attack, I have a lower release because I wanted the high end of the chug to kind of tame down a little bit slower. And again, with the threshold, it's literally just by ear. I'll go ahead, get rid of it and redo it just so you can see. And you can really hear in that example as well how when it pushes those frequencies up, there's like a little fade in of a lower frequency that's a lot more mid-range. Finding that balance between those two options to where they like really work together in a really what am I doing with my hands? So to show you instead, just watch the line here. You can really see how they're working together to get that sound. And that middle point on where you're going to split the signal, it's going to be different on every guitar. I'm very sure of that. But if you very specifically listen to those two things I explained, one being the low end pumping, and two, the high end of the signal, you're gonna want that to be pushing into the low end weirdly. So just one more time, just so it makes more sense. The low end, and the high end. And so when you put all of those together, you get something like this. And in the mix, guitar time. So I find that if I just regularly palm mute, it sort of has the effect. But what I do, I'm not going to be able to get a good angle. I'm so sorry. On the bridge, you're going to barely push your palm on the very end of the string. I'm talking like borderline open note, barely touching the string. And then as you pick, you're going to kind of push your palm onto the string. You're not going to slide it over. You're going to push it onto the string. However, if you listen to the difference between just a regular palm mute and that weird technique, you can hear it's really giving it that like bow, bow. I really hope this is making sense. Anyway, that will be all for me today. If there is any sounds from any band that you do not know how to make the sound of, I will suffer for you. You have my word. Just tell me the name of the song, the timestamp of the sound, and I will figure it out for you, and I will expose it for your own usage. Once again, I do have a Discord server. The link is in the description. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.